Hello.
Good morning, everybody.
Afternoon now.
Oh, good noon. Good morrow. Good morrow, my friends. Oh no.
It is. What did you delete it by accident? Together out loud.
I deleted too far.
Did you fix it?
Yeah, I fixed it. Sorry.
Together Out Loud podcast. We're Jason and Samantha.
Episode 7.
Number 7. Wow. So if you're new here, this is just like a podcast that we do for marriage, relationships, parenting.
Sorry if you heard that.
We touch on social issues and cultural things, happenings. What's that called? Current events. So if
I'm
you
trying
are
to join your
interested,
live. There we go. I think I'm in now.
If you are interested,
Wait, let me make sure that mics are working.
If you are interested,
Yep, the mics are working. Mics are working. I always like to do that mic check. That way we're not just sitting here talking and then none of it ends up coming through. But thank you everyone for who's joining the live. Welcome. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay.
Continue.
So we do a live on here. This is my personal TikTok, but we do have a Together Out Loud podcast account. Now, let me change it so it's Together_Out Loud.
Yeah, I saw that you changed it on TikTok.
Yeah,
so it is different now on TikTok.
Yes.
So please join the Together Out Loud podcast on TikTok.
Correct, because if we get to 50 followers, we can start doing lives on there, and that's what our goal is right now. And then we have Instagram and YouTube. They're also Together_Out Loud, so everything's universal. And then on Spotify, it's Together Out Loud. So if you just search Together Out Loud, you'll find us. We post typically on the very next day. We will post the recording of this on Spotify and YouTube. And then throughout the week, you can see clips on our Together Out Loud account and on Instagram.
And I'm sending invites to people privately as well. And while I talk, if you want, you can send some invites as well. That's completely up to you. But
I
just by the simple chance of somebody might join and be again? Like, it's the arrow. Yours doesn't have the arrow though. Is it this? Is it this
just
thing?
An arrow.
Is it that thing? No.
No.
Where's the arrow? Is it this thing? This thing? Don't mind us.
Yeah, I don't know how to do TikTok. I'm old school. My thing, I like Instagram, but we don't.
Is it this thing?
We can't do lives on
Instagram
yet.
There you go. You can share it with anybody on there.
Okay, you can tell them about the
while I talk a little bit.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, yeah. So feel free to reach out to us also at TOLpodcast15@gmail.com because you can submit any kind of questions, comments that you have there, and we will address those. We check the email every week. Feel free to join in the chat, join in on the discussion. Follow us here at Together Out Loud. Follow us on Instagram, Together Out Loud, and on YouTube, Together Out Loud.
Oh, you probably sent one.
But I just wanted to touch on a little bit of what you can send more to. You just can only send 15 at a time, so you could click it again and send it to other people that you didn't invite, but that's up to you. Yeah. We'll just touch on what we went over a little bit last time. We kind of went over traditional roles, traditional values, what we do traditionally, what we don't do traditionally, and why our idea of traditional works. I also stated in there, which I wanted to make a correction. I said that I kind of had like this sadness about me because nobody ever really got the perfect or best version of me. But I wanted to correct also and say that I am still not the perfect and best version of me. I never will be. It's all about progress and it's all about growth. So I just want to continue to grow and get better. Sorry, I was just also like, wait a minute, I never set a timer.
Yeah, because we tend to go over anyway, but we typically try to make this an hour.
Yeah, we try to keep it an hour so that way you guys aren't bored of us. But I mean, how could you be bored of us? But so those are some things we touched on in the last episode, and just one of the things that I wanted to correct, not create or correct. And I'm drawing a blank. And feel free to go back on Spotify. You can go back and watch those. Oh yeah, you can follow us on Spotify Together Out Loud as well, and you can watch previous episodes on Spotify.
I'm sorry.
I'm laughing because we're supposed to have this together, and she's like, "Ugh, my glasses."
Hey, I'm real as possible. You will never find anything that
we're real fake. Real fake. But today we're going to get into parenting topics. This ought to be a good one. Parenting without losing your mind. That's the name of this episode because we don't. We've lost our mind several times. Maybe it should be parenting without losing your mind, and also parenting while losing your mind, and then getting your mind back, going out and finding it. Praying to Saint Anthony. She does that.
It works.
And,
it works.
And going and finding it.
I'm not Catholic, but that's one thing I learned from a kid in the after school program I used to have, where if you pray to Saint Anthony,
I forgot to write down on here that we wanted to touch a little bit on gentle parenting. Isn't this where you wanted to talk about that?
Yep,
oh, you wrote it down.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
My bad. Don't mind us. This is how we get, and also I want to take notes just in case.
We're tired.
Because I don't like to interrupt her when she's speaking, so I'll take notes. That way, if I want to touch on something that she says, I can just address that. But we're going to start out with discipline philosophies and different things that we do to discipline our children, which is nothing. We don't discipline them at all. We just say,
rule the house.
You rule the house. You guys are the bosses.
Yep, like Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' daughter. She gets to decide.
What's her name?
Shuri.
Shuri. Take a drink.
I just remember that being super controversial. I think that is the first time I really heard about like kind of
gentle parenting and people going, just do whatever you want. We don't do that. We're just joking.
Actually, before we get into ours, if you don't mind, can you tell about how you were disciplined as a child?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. So I was spanked. Maybe I can go into some things that I've done. One of the things that my mom used to do that upset me so much that I cut my hair was I had a rat's tail. It was cool back then, guys. Don't judge me. But I used to have a rat's tail, and she would grab a hold of it and pull it. Like if I went to run, because the minute I knew I was getting in trouble, what do all kids do? We try to run. So she would grab it so that I couldn't run, and then spank me or give me whatever discipline that she wanted to treat me with, I guess.
In the corner.
To apply whatever discipline she wanted to apply. Oh yeah, the corner. I was disciplined with the corner, but I had my brother cut it off because I got so sick of her pulling it, and I went and I sprinkled it in her lap. I was a good kid, but also a bad kid. I flushed my dad's dentures. I got spanked for that. I think one of the worst was, so I'll say one of the worst disciplines. I'll say the reason, and then I'll say what the discipline was. In third grade, it would have been third or second, because in second, my younger sister would have been in kindergarten. So it was either when she was in kindergarten and first, or I was in second or third. I believe it was third, though. I was supposed to walk to school and back home from school every day with her. And that way, because she's little, and I'm in third grade, even though, like now that would be so frowned upon because people would be like, wait, you're walking to and from school like over a mile? Because it was over a mile. And people would be like, in third grade? But yeah, that's what I did. I would walk with my sister to school and back home from school. And one day, instead of walking her back home from school, I decided that I would go up on the hill behind our school with, I think it's okay for me to say his name, Billy Hammonds. So if he's watching this, he can reminisce if he hears this or sees this. But Billy Hammonds was my best friend, and we decided that we were going to go up on the hill behind the school and roll giant snowballs down the hill. Because I don't know if you've ever done it, but it's fun. You kind of make like a bigger snowball. Yeah, and once it gets rolling, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes down this hill. And Amanda's like, my sister, Amanda's like, you're going to get in trouble. You're supposed to walk me home. And I was like, just go home. I'll be home later. And we didn't have a car at the time. So my parents sent our neighbor, Kevin Folkrod, to come get me. And there was a road that came behind this hill. And we're up there. We're just having a blast rolling these snowballs down the hill. And he pulls up and he opens the passenger side door. He's in this old like beaver whacker station wagon. And he opens that passenger side door and he goes, get your ass in this car now. And I immediately know, I was like, uh-oh. So I'm like, I'll see you later, Billy. And I go and I get in the car. He drives me home. But the thing is like, my mom and my dad surprised me because I didn't get spanked. They yelled at me. But surprisingly, in this certain predicament, I didn't get spanked for this one. And oh no.
We're still here.
We're still here. She's grabbing it. But I didn't get spanked in this one. I was put in the corner. And that was a particularly devastating punishment because I was put in the corner, and this was around the time that one of the Back to the Futures came out, and it was like on TV, or they were going to watch it, and they wouldn't let me watch it. And I was like so devastated.
That was the devastating
I was so devastated that I didn't get to watch the new Back to the Future. I don't know if it was 1 or 2 or 3, but it was around one of those times when I didn't get to watch that. And also I was in the corner so long that I peed my pants. But if I'm if I'm admitting, I did it on purpose because I wanted to get out of the corner, and I felt like if I pee, they'll have to let me out of the corner, and they'll have to like take care of this pee that's now in my pants. But so those were the 2 things that we got. We got spanked. We got put in the corner. How about you?
We had a paddle, and I'm not afraid to admit that. We had a paddle that had our last name engraved on it, and which I think my dad made. My dad was the carpenter. He was very, very crafty. I got paddled one time in my life, and I still am going to blame my sister. Sorry, but I am, because my fault too. We were both fighting, but she was being mean to me, and my dad didn't want to hear it. Pretty much when our kids want to blame each other, my dad was just like, whatever, you're both going to get paddled. That was the one and only time I remember getting paddled, because I was afraid to get in trouble. And I don't remember my either one of my parents. They're pretty passive. I don't remember them like being very authoritative that to make me afraid. I just was afraid to get in trouble. And I got grounded one time because while my dad was on the phone, my cousin and I, who were besties, I think I was in 2nd grade, I had a liquid glue stick, and we took tissue and put the glue on it, and we're throwing them up, and they stuck to the ceiling as my dad's in the same room on the phone, not realizing what we're doing. So we got grounded for a week away from each other. So that was pretty much what it was. But like I said, I can't really remember how they taught us discipline or respecting them. But that was just one of those things. I knew once they said my full name that I was in
middle name
trouble.
Included. That's every parent.
Well, because I was either called Sammy or Sam for everybody in my family, except my dad. He always called me Samantha. But my mom would be like, Samantha Joe. I'm like, yep, I'm in big trouble. So it was more of the like shame of being yelled at for something, and I feel like I would get like yelled at for like making really stupid, just like honest mistakes. So.
And I just wanted to speak out in defense of my parents as well. It wasn't like they were just whooping us constantly. My mom and dad actually let us slide with a lot of stuff too. Like I can think of one specific example where I had one of those blue rubber balls, and I'm bouncing it on the floor, and there's one of the lights with the glass fixtures above on the ceiling, and I'm bouncing this ball, and I'm bouncing it so hard I can hit the ceiling and bounce back down to me. And my mom, we're in the kitchen, and my mom goes, "You're going to keep bouncing that ball, and it's going to go up and it's going to shatter that light." And I'm like, "No, it's not." And sure enough, that very next bounce, boing, shatters the light. And she didn't whoop me that time. She just said, get out of my kitchen. I was like, okay, see ya. But we can now get into our discipline philosophies. I've taken a lot from other people over time. Definitely Jordan Peterson has definitely influenced my philosophies on disciplining children. And that, is that Derp? Oh no, he's Derp. The evil Derp cat.
No, this is our shelter cat, so
he's from the shelter, so weird.
Weird.
He has a small head. His head's too small. But anyways, I've lost track of my thought now. But I've taken a lot from Jordan Peterson. One of the things that he's big on is the counting. Count to 10. Say, I need you to do this, and I'm going to count to 10. And if you don't do it, there's going to be consequences. He also is okay with spanking. He's like, there's nothing wrong with spanking a child, but his rule to follow was more, if I'm not mistaken here, I'm paraphrasing, I think that he was only for corporal punishment. That would be corporal, right? If they were in danger, like if they endangered their lives, like if they were about to run out into the street or something like that, that's when he felt spanking was appropriate because they're endangering themselves, and you don't want that because they can get hurt. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, I kind of bent that because when they were younger, I think I spanked a little more. And unfortunately, I did do a lot of empty threats, which you don't want to do with kids. Like if you and I've done that a ton of times, but it's so hard because like you love them so much that you're like, if you just change, then we will. Sorry, I was wondering what that said. It said we had a flash goal.
You got a flash goal. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. But like, I don't know. I don't think it's that bad because the times that I've threatened, I've still gotten the result that I wanted. For instance, like if we're sitting at the dinner table and we're eating and they're carrying on and screaming and stuff like that, and I have the paddle and I say, I'm going to paddle you guys if you don't be quiet. And they continue on for a little longer. And I'm like, come on, guys, you got to keep it down. I eventually will get the result that I want. So I don't feel quite as bad for like not spanking them in times like that. Because I honestly also think that you can scream at them and say things to them that can harm them worse than
I feel like that's how it was in my experience.
So we, at least for me, I feel like we together, the one nice thing is we generally agree on our disciplining philosophies. I feel like she and I are pretty good at finding common ground in how we want to do that. And we're also good at supporting each other. That's another good thing that benefits you, because one thing that I think I mentioned this before in a past episode is one thing that Jordan Peterson mentions is like, don't ever pull the go ask your parent, go ask your mom, go ask your dad, go ask your mom, go ask your dad, which I think I actually wrote that down too. But I don't agree with that because we have done that. I think it's just important to, if you're going to do go ask your mom, go ask your dad, make sure you're on the same page so that the children can't pin you against each other. Because that's what Jordan Peterson said he worries about. Because like me, if I don't care if you're on your tablet or on your headset or on your video game, I'll say go ask your mom. Because, for example, they might have done something to mom that I don't know about. That mom's like, no, I already told you earlier, you don't get tablet, you don't get video games. So that's why I think sometimes that can benefit. I don't know if you want to continue off on that.
Yeah. So one of the things the reason why I wanted to kind of start off is how we were disciplined is I know for me, like I wanted to change certain things about how I was disciplined, because like I said, like getting yelled at or feeling shame for making a simple mistake like spilling something, or one time, rest in peace dad, but it was when my sister was home from college, so I was sleeping on a pull-out couch, and I knew I was going to throw up, but my dad was in the only bathroom that was in the house, and I'm like, I can't go in there when he's going to the bathroom. And as I was getting up, I threw up all over the floor. It was a hardwood floor, luckily, but he like kind of yelled at me for getting sick, and I tried to explain to him through my tears, like, you were in the bathroom, I couldn't make it. But so that's just an example that comes to my mind, that I didn't want the kids to feel shame for making a simple mistake.
Yeah, that's a big thing, actually.
Like getting sick or maybe having an accident in their pants or whatever the case may be. Like, I don't want it to be like that. And shout out to Gabby's Dollhouse. If anybody's a parent and have kids that watch Gabby's, I started to...
So we all started to sing a song.
Yeah, to sing a song. I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. So, like, I want to do that so they also are not having this internal voice. Like,
and we sing that to ourselves, too.
Yeah, like, I suck. I can't believe you did that. I'm stupid, because I know I have that internal monologue sometimes when I make a mistake. And I don't want them to think that they have to be perfect.
I'm really happy that you brought that into this conversation. Thank you for that. And I say that because, like, that's something that she and I both struggle with is we have that inner voice that, like, is so terrified to make a mistake. And actually, and I even use that in some of my coaching, is like, no, you want to make a mistake because mistakes are what help you grow. Mm-hmm. So that's something that we try to help our children with. And again, guys, thank you for joining, and thank you for viewing us, and thank you for chiming in.
Yeah.
Feel free to comment, feel free to like, feel free to follow us. But that's one thing that I struggled with my entire life, is I just always felt like I would tear myself down because, like, the simplest, littlest mistake, I wouldn't grow from it because I would just be terrified to make a mistake. And unfortunately, I think that she and I have gotten this a little better than our parents as well, in that we will help them come to a solution for the mistakes that they make. I feel like that helps more rather than just like shaming them and beating them down, because I never really learned how to overcome a lot of the mistakes that I made in my life. I would just, and I think that also fed into the way I catastrophize things.
You're gonna have to wait, honey.
Is something would go wrong and I'd be like, I'm the worst. Everything is terrible. Everything is awful. Why? What did he want? He just had a
probably
question.
wanted me to put
something
in
the code. Well, put the password in for him.
Lennox!
She's gonna put a VR on quick so she can put the password in for him. He can't get on it because it's password locked. But that's another good thing. Hey, another good discipline.
Is that what you need? Password?
You password lock stuff so that they can't just go and get on it whenever they want. Password locks, guys. Password lock inappropriate movies or shows. You're welcome. But yeah, I think that was definitely a voice that I had going on in my head. So if you guys are anybody who's watching this, anybody who's listening to this, that's definitely one thing you don't want to do to your kids. You don't want to shame them when they make a mistake. You don't want them to be terrified to make a mistake, because I'm sure throughout your life you've made a ton of mistakes. I have. That's really loud.
That is loud.
And you yourself don't want to be ashamed of those mistakes either. You want to recognize those mistakes. And this is something I really struggle with. If it's something out of your control, you just got to let it go. Because it's like, there was nothing I could do about this anyway.
Can you shut that door?
And that's something shut the door, please.
That's
something that I struggled with, because like I would see every mistake as like, this is somehow my fault. Or I would blame God sometimes. I would be like, God somehow is out to get me.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a lot better with those things, though, because we need to put our faith and our trust in the Lord, because he wants the best for us, not the worst.
Yeah, a couple things I wanted to follow up on that. It wasn't just like my parents who may have made me feel like I couldn't make mistakes. It's just like bosses or friends or whatever. I just had a lot of experiences.
And again, feel free to like the live, guys.
Yep.
Like the live. Follow the podcast Together Out Loud on TikTok. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay.
TikTok, Spotify, Instagram,
YouTube.
And YouTube. Sorry.
That's okay. So I had like a lot of people in my life, and so it just kind of got ingrained into me. But you saying about making mistakes and stuff and like helping them to problem solve, that reminded me of an old boss that I had who he taught me.
Is it Mr. Bowden?
No, not him.
Okay. I was just curious.
Bill from Crossroads.
Okay.
So he taught me, which I still do this for me, and if I make a mistake at work now, I do it for my managers, but I'll explain. So he taught me, like, if I made a mistake, because he saw in me, like, I would, like, freak out and get anxiety, like, I made a mistake, afraid to tell him that I made a mistake. And he would always calmly look at me and listen to what it was and then say, okay, what are you going to do about it for the next time so it doesn't happen? Or what's your solution? And he would make me think of the solution. So then I would start learning, like, okay, I made this mistake. So before I even would tell him that I made the mistake, I would figure out what I'm going to do to fix it for the next time. And then he would just be like, okay. And then so there you go. He trusted that I learned from that mistake or whatever, and that this is, like, I knew that this is what I need to do to fix it and to avoid it in the future. So, like, I always get prepared when I have to tell my boss or somebody that, like, oh, I made this mistake and I know that it's because of this and this is what I'm going to do next time. That shows that I'm not just going to, for one, it helps my anxiety, and for two, it shows them that you are learning from your mistakes. And then another thing you brought up Mr. Boughton. One of the curriculums that we would teach when I did a reentry program was the 12 steps, not the AA 12 steps, was very similar to that. It helped with mental health too. But one of the steps was to think of a current worry and then ask yourself if you have control over it. And then you say yes or no. Okay, how much control over it percentage-wise? 50%. And then you ask, are you doing everything you can with that 50% control you have? And if you say yes, I would be like, okay, then why are you worried about it? If you're doing everything you can, then you let it go. If you're not doing everything that you can, then you think about what you can do more to fix it. So I think I like because I was working there when we got together and stuff, and I kind of used that on him as well because his anxiety used to be really bad.
Yeah, it was terrible. And it was a result of like low self esteem, a lot of it, and quitting drinking didn't help, because you have to I now have to face all of my struggles and the reality of life instead of hiding it in a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna move on. I don't want to stay on one topic too long. Excuse me, just because I want to make sure we get to these other topics because they're really good. So we'll move right into gentle parenting and our thoughts and our opinions on it, and gentle coaching. I threw that in there. I added that just because I feel like that's something that is affecting parents and children nowadays in my experience in coaching. But we're going to start with gentle parenting. I don't think it works. I mean, I think you got to find a balance of it. I think the gentle parenting coming in was a result of a parenting method that just didn't work and is outdated. That's my opinion, because I don't think, I mean, I'm an example of how the old parenting method is outdated and didn't work, because I struggle with so many mental health issues. And from people I've spoken with, many others do too. I mean, Theo Von talks about his mental health issues. So ignoring it doesn't work, ignoring the problems. Another big thing is like you have to pay attention to your kids. And I'm not like the type of dad who just like pretends that everything's okay and just ignores things. And that's the kind of parent you need to be, because you have to pay attention, because while you may think that things are minor and circumstantial,
trivial,
thank you, the exact word I was looking for. They think that these are important. These are existential life crises that they're going through. So something that's small to them is small to you is something that's really big to them. But I kind of went off a little bit, but back into the gentle parenting, I do think it benefits in a way. But again, you just really have to find that balance of when to discipline, because like, let's bring it to the Bible. Jesus Christ says, spare the rod, spoil the child. So you need to discipline in some way of spanking and in some way of getting them to go on a straight and narrow. You can't just gentle parent. Like, for instance, let's bring up LGBTQ, for instance. Like, there's a lot of people that, and this is my opinion, but there's also statistics that back this. There are a lot of people who gentle parent when it comes to that and are just like, yeah, gender and all of that, it's all fluid. Affirming. You can do whatever you want, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's take that and say a child thinks that they're Superman. And I know you've probably all heard this before, but if they're up on a roof and they're like, I can jump and I can fly, are you going to gentle parent then? Are you going to be like, I can fly? Are you going to gentle parent then? Are you going to be like, no, Johnny, get down from there. That's very unsafe. So I think that's just an example of how gentle parenting can go wrong, and also the statistic that they're mutilating children. And if you don't want, a simple Google search will show you that they're mutilating underage children. Chloe Cole is one person that comes to mind. Look up her story. If you don't believe me, you can look up her story yourself. And I know that a lot of the trans community likes to say like, yeah, but that's bigoted and that's hateful. And that's only one person. Yeah, but every person, we need to focus on individuals as well, because every person matters. So their story matters, her story matters. And it is important because that might also protect other people from damaging themselves in ways that they can't reverse.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm going to agree, gentle parenting.
I know I went off on a tirade there, and I know that we might get some flags there. We might get some flags there. Comes to it. So
I agree that gentle parenting does not work, and prime example is the generation, no offense to anybody, Gen Z is pretty spoiled and self-entitled, and I know it's not everybody, but the majority. I feel like gentle parenting came from Gen X, and this is my opinion and assumption, so you can agree or disagree, but I think Gen X and some millennials decided that they're kind of overcompensating for how we were treated because we are parenting our parents, their styles were a little bit tougher, whereas I think we went too far over to the other side of the spectrum where now we just like let the kids rule the rooster, and that's where you get people who are have mental health issues, who have temper tantrums as adults, and all those things. Now, there was somebody who commented, I don't know if they commented on the clip of the little preview that you do, what's your opinion on YouTube?
There were a couple of people who did,
YouTube, yes. or on TikTok. Thank you.
TikTok.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you for your comments. Thank you for entering and enjoying it, joining in on the discussion. Yeah, one of the guys I worked with at Allison, he's a good man. So Joe, if you're watching this or if you see it or if you hear it, he's a good guy. He mentioned that he thinks we should bring back 80s parenting, I believe, which I can say yes and no.
Right.
If you're doing it in a healthy way, I 100% agree. And that is in trying to build them up and build up their character and build up their confidence rather than tear it down and
toughen them up a little
bit. Because that's the thing is it's hard to get that balance, which actually will roll right into gentle coaching with that. You need to toughen some of the kids up, and I think that's what is Soy Boys. Will it show that or will it actually?
I don't know if it'll freeze or what.
Sorry. But the popular phrase is Soy Boys. And that's a direct result of like just this kind of like gentle backed off parenting and kindness and blah, blah, blah. But that kind of plays into the whole gentle coaching. So I feel like you have coaches that are afraid to speak up because parents come up and they go, you can't yell at my kids. I mentioned this in the question. You can't yell at my kids. Little Johnny does nothing wrong. Okay, then little Johnny isn't going to learn anything. I think we want our children to learn and to grow. And again, like I've said before in previous episodes, especially when you're coaching, you want to mentor and you want to encourage and you want to motivate. These are the things that you want to do. You want to teach them things that they don't know. And most importantly, you want them to teach themselves things in that you want them to get that mind frame of like, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to fight for the ball and I'm going to try my best. I'm going to do everything I can to win. Now, it's not all about winning, but in your pursuit of winning, that's the word I was looking for. In your pursuit of winning, you will also grow as a person because it's also about teamwork. It's also about many other things. But as I said before, I'm not the kind of dad that ignores things. And I think that's also why I can be a little controversial when it comes to these sports because I'm willing to speak up to these coaches. Like, I'm not the kind of person, you don't want to be a parent that's ignoring it because your child's not growing and not learning anything when their coach is just like, do whatever you want. I'm not going to give you that much start time. Like, you have to. This is how I coach. I treat everybody as an individual, and I will try to encourage and motivate you on an individual basis. I'm big on Navy SEALs do this. Dan Crenshaw, I read his book, which I regret buying now, but it has good messages in that I'm huge on praise in public, punish in private. So I'm big on, man, good job, Johnny. That was a great goal. Hey, nice pass, Steve. That's what I think works the best. And if they do mess up or something like that, you bring them aside and say, hey, I need you to work on this. I need you to work on that. Now, if they're just not listening and they're just being a nuisance and interrupting the entire practice in general, laps and push-ups, those are good things to do. Like, hey, you gotta run a lap, because that's not a punishment that's so harsh that they're like, oh, I want to quit. Like, but it's something that's going to get them, I feel it gets them snapped back into that mindset of, hey, I'm the boss here. I'm the coach. We're going to listen because nobody else also is going to benefit if you let that one outlier ruin the practice. Whereas I see coaches that they just ignore it. Like one kid will be acting crazy and being a nuisance, and the coaches will literally just be like, I'll just focus on these other kids instead. Like, yeah, but don't you want to help that kid? Like, yeah. I don't understand it. And there's a little emotion in my voice there because it makes me sad. It makes me sad that like that's your view. Like, because as a coach, shouldn't you care about everyone? And I'm not trying to steal this episode and turn it into about coaching. So we'll get off of that topic, but that's just unless you want to say something about gentle coaching as well, because she coaches as well. About
gentle parenting too.
Or gentle parenting. But before I get off on too far of a rant, those are just my opinions. I could go on all day about just that in general, but that's why I wanted to share that. And that's maybe why people think that I'm a bully when it comes to coaching and stuff, because I can be a little harsher as a coach, and I feel like that's what young boys need. I never had that. People, for me, would be like, if I wanted to quit, they'd just be like, okay, goodbye. You know what I mean? So, and also like one of the coaches specifically, I overheard him talking to a student who was like, well, I don't get a lot of playtime and I don't get the ball anyway. So what's the point of me even being on the team? And his response literally is like, oh, all right, well, I wish that wasn't the way you are, what you wanted, but okay. Like, no, you don't respond with okay. You try to encourage them and get them like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try to make some changes and we're going to get you the ball and we're going to get you some more start time so that person can improve rather than just be like, yeah, bye, goodbye.
But somebody commented about gentle parenting and said that they do gentle parent because when they were growing up, they were afraid of their parents.
And so we got actually both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, and I can see that. I don't want my kids to be afraid. Our oldest came in one time, and you can tell he's afraid to ask me something. I can't remember what it was, but I'm like, I don't want him to like be afraid of me. So that was kind of like a wake up call a little bit. But I agree, you gotta find a balance because I don't want them to be afraid of me, but I'm huge on respect when it comes to parents, adults, coaches. So my thing is, the gentle parenting kind of hurts in sports too because the kids goofing off or whatever, that's on the parents in my opinion. Like, hello, I want the
as our children are the ones goofing off.
Right, but like that is embarrassing to me. Like my thing is you're here to teach, they're volunteering their time to teach you. And you are just goofing off.
And afterwards, we always say something to our children. Yeah. Like we're like, no. You need to pay attention. You need to focus because they're not here to just waste their time. They're here to teach you things.
Right. And I want the coach to not be afraid to be like, you're doing laps or whatever.
Or doing push-ups.
Yeah. Another thing about parenting in general, I think you mentioned that Jordan Peterson says this, and I like it. The teaching them kind of how to compromise and being a part of the consequences.
Yeah.
Because I want to teach them there are both negative and positive consequences to every action you take, even the ones that are not very good behavior. There's a positive and negative. So I want them to learn rewards and consequences. I think you can use them in certain situations, but you got to find the balance in the what's the word I'm looking for? Harshness of the punishment, because if they are fighting with each other, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, you're grounded for 2 months. Like that's a little too harsh for that action. So you kind of have to like make the
I think one of the best punishments is take it away from both. And the reason I think that works is because it teaches them like, hey, maybe next time you should compromise because you get mom and dad involved and the authority just comes in and goes, you all lose.
Yeah.
There is no victor. Everyone loses when we're here. And the reason I feel like that works is, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt or steal your train of thought. But the reason I think that works is because then it teaches them to compromise instead and work together. Like, listen, we need to come together and figure something out, because if mom or dad come down here and they hear us and they see that we're fighting, they're just going to be like, oh, you know what? No TV at all then. Have fun. Go find something else to do.
Yep. And that's where the only time I remember getting spanked is both me and my sister were fighting, And my dad was like, you know what, you're both just getting paddled, because like we kept blaming it on each
Eli
other.
Gemstone style. Eli Gemstone, like when he was like, if it takes me being the villain for you kids to get along, I'll do it. That's what you got to do sometimes. Like, yeah, great show, amazing show. Go watch it. But that's what you got to do sometimes. You got to be like, okay, I'll play the villain, and everybody loses.
Mm-hmm. But I also like the idea, which you taught me this, is giving them the chance to compromise when like they want something or want to do something, and I'm simply just like, no, you're not.
And also compromise in the punishment.
Yeah, like,
I think sometimes because Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about that, because it helps them to understand better. And a lot of times he said this, and it is true from my experience at least. The kids will know like a good punishment for themselves, so that way you're involving them so they feel like the punishment is fair, rather than just being like 2 months grounded. You know, you involve them so they go, yeah, I don't think I should have my tablet for the whole day. All right.
Yeah, and also they kind of respect it a little more, because they made the punishment, so they know how harsh it's going to be or not.
Yep.
So they're more inclined to be like, I'm not going to do this anymore, because then I know.
And it's nice because we don't really get our kids saying like, excuse me, like a lot of what you would hear growing up when it's like, that's not fair. Like that was a very common line that like all kids use. And our kids really don't say that. Our kids don't ever really come out and say like, that's not fair. And it's because we involve them. We keep them involved in the disciplinary part of it.
So
and they will punish themselves. Hold on, not to interrupt quickly. They will punish themselves. They won't come to you and be like, if you like involve them, they're not going to be like, I don't feel like I deserve to be punished at all, which is also another amazing thing, because even the kids themselves know like, yeah, something should happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't remember what I was going to say, but, I know if that aspect is part of general parenting, then that works. But in my understanding and experience of seeing gentle parenting, it's like, you're just basically telling your kid you can do whatever you want, and that's not the case. You're still the authority figure. You're still the adult.
You're the boss.
Yeah, and so
hammer's got to come down.
But that also reminds me, like,
it's because they want to be their child's friend. Yeah, you have that so much today. Like, I want to be my child's friend. Like, yeah, I want to be my child's friend too, but I also want them to know, like,
when they're adults, I'll be their friend.
Well, and not only that, but even friends I disagree with on stuff, and like there's punishments in friendship as well. Like, you get mad at a friend, you ignore them for 3 days. You know what I mean? Like, there's punishments in all aspects of life. So.
But also, if you have house rules, if you have family rules, give them the opportunity to also create those rules as well. Because again, if they feel like they're a part of it, they are going to be more inclined to follow those rules. Same with if they do chores, and what should your reward be? Just today, our oldest, I asked him to take out bring the trash down out of his room and the bathroom upstairs, because it's pretty much their bathroom. And he was like, okay, well then can I play on my iPad? And so we agreed on an amount of time on his iPad. So it really helps. Oh, and they don't really talk back and argue so much. I know
no, they don't.
Our middle one does sometimes, but because he caught on to my empty threats. So he's smart about that. But like, they're just okay.
And I think also another reason he argues those, because sometimes I think we'll give him a good percentage. We'll say 60-40. 60% of the time he makes sense. So I think because of that, it has influenced his brain to go like, well, I can fight back. I can argue back.
Right.
Because sometimes he'll say stuff and I'm like,
yeah,
that actually makes sense. You're right. But yeah, and or like another thing for our older child, and this worked swimmingly. This worked just swell. It was perfect. Is he wanted another game, so I made an agreement with him. I was like, 7 days, 10 minutes on the treadmill, homework when you get home, clean room. What else was it? Trash.
Bathroom upstairs, hallway upstairs.
Bathroom, hallway, trash from the bathroom, I believe, trash from his room. And I was like, and don't miss a day. Mom's going to give you check marks. And if you miss one check mark.
In charge of the other guys when it came to the hallway and the living room and bathroom and stuff. Like, he would make them help out as well.
Yeah. But it worked perfectly. Like, all 7 days. And another nice thing, and this goes into like forming healthy routines for them, is he continued that routine. Now, I think there was like a small mess in his bedroom today, but which I'll have to have a conversation, because now I'm remembering that I wanted to have a conversation with him. Because sometimes I'll see something and I'll be like, I want to talk to him about that later. Because like sometimes it's not the time. Because today we worked out together, we exercised together, and I was like, I'm not going to bring any of this messy room up right now. We're all focused. We're in the zone. We're in the
getting pumped.
We're getting pumped up. Let us pump you up. But
well, this kind of goes into the chores.
The screens and chores and routines. Yeah. That's why I would like when you started bringing it into chores and screens, I was like, oh, that's really nice. But
are you okay solo for like 30 seconds? I cannot hold. I have to go to the bathroom.
Oh yeah,
drink
that's
lots
fine.
of water. I'm gonna turn off my mic though. For now,
she's gonna turn her mic off so that you guys don't hear her go potty. But yeah, so screens, chores, routines, stuff like that. You want to make sure you keep it consistent and keep it even with all of the children. Like, oh wait, why is yours is blinking? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I saw it blinking and I was like, wait a minute, do they not hear me? But yeah, she'll be back. So if you're joining into the podcast now, it's just me. She'll be back. She went to the bathroom real quick, and I'm here for your entertainment. But I am going to go right into screens, chores, and routines, and that is that you want to make sure that it's consistent across all the children, and like you're not like over rewarding one, over punishing one. And again, you just want to make sure that they're involved in the discipline action, in the reward action. Screen time's a big thing. My wife Samantha uses screen time a lot because it's a really good reward to use, because kids, and if you have kids, you know well that kids love tablets. They love that time on their tablets. Like, we buy them all kinds of gifts at Christmas, and then we come to the conclusion of like 90% of this we didn't even need to get, because they're spending 90% of their time just on the tablet or on video games or on a headset. Like, for instance, we just got our oldest a headset, so he'll do like VR games on his Quest. And I don't know if my wife wants to touch on this. She's coming back now, but I don't know if she wants to touch on screens and chores. I'll just sum up what I was saying. I was saying how like you give like screen time and stuff, and that works really well as a reward.
Yeah.
But I also said like you want to make sure that it's consistent across all kids. Like, you don't want one child to be over rewarded while one child's over punished, because they're going to notice that too. They're going to notice like, how comes this person gets their tablet and like I don't? For instance, like, and that goes to actually that you can relate it to food. Like, if someone eats all their dinner, they're the only one that should get the reward. I lived in a household where, I guess that's another way my parents struggled, is like they would reward everyone. My birthday was the worst because it was right around Christmas. So like the minute the kids started whining, my siblings started whining, a lot of times my mom and dad would be like, all right, let them open up something too. And it's like, no, this is my special day. Like, why do they get to open stuff? This is supposed to be my special day. And I also didn't get like anything extra or particular. Like, sometimes I think they were just like, just let them open a Christmas present. It's so close to Christmas anyway. So kind of like, for all my December homies out there,
it sucks.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought again. I'm really tired today. Screens, chores, routines. In the summertime, I think it's really important when they're home. It's very easily just like lay around, watch TV
all day,
play on your tablets. Trust me, like, if you're frustrated as a parent, sometimes you just want to be like, yeah, go do that. But that's not healthy at all. And so I would, before school was even out, I would make daily chores. Like, this has to be done, and all like going outside for a certain amount of time, working out a certain amount of time, craft a certain amount of time, all that to keep them like stimulated and stuff before they even had any chance to be on their iPads at all. Because I don't want them to be iPad kids. I don't. Which I'm very proud of us too, because they behave well when we go out to dinner and stuff. They don't have to be on iPads and stuff.
Actually, yeah, bring up Noah's Ark when we got a compliment from two people, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
We went to Noah's Ark in Kentucky, and this is like one of the best things you can hear, but it was so nice. We came down to the breakfast area in the morning, and we're all sitting there. We prayed together, because we always pray before dinner as well. And we prayed together, And then we ate, and I remember 2 separate people came up to us, and they were like, "Your children are so well behaved. Like, it's so nice." And I remember one was an older couple, and that one struck me the most, just because like it's so nice when you see people, like especially elders, because they're like older. They've been through it all. They've seen it all. They've been through it all. So like life, like they've lived so much more life than me. So I have so much respect for someone who's been alive longer than me, coming up to me and complimenting me and saying, "Man, your children are just so well behaved and they're just so well put together. Like you have such a beautiful family, and like that's good going, good for you." And I'm always just like so grateful and so thankful for those compliments, because it truly is like, it's just a blessing, and it's just amazing that like someone like you've been here longer than I have. So for you to be like, "Wow, look at you and your little family." And also, like they mentioned that like it's not something you see a lot anymore of. So I think that's also another thing that might also surprise them, and they're taken aback by, is because they're like, "Wow, here's a married couple, 2 people together with their 3 children, still together. They sit down at breakfast to have a meal. They say a prayer.
Pray in public.
Yep, they say a prayer in public." And I'm not saying any of this to like float our boat or toot our horn or anything like that. I mean, we can toot the horn for the parenting compliment. That we're definitely tooting the horn, because like, woo, for us, we rock. And it's because like we said in the last episode, we're kind of the best. So we expect that. So we shouldn't be so shocked. No, I'm joking. We are shocked just because it's really
super humble too.
Yeah, we're humble too. Like it's super nice. It's just really nice to hear, especially like I said, coming from an older couple. So, and I wish that like other people would have heard him say, like, 'cause, you know, he came up to me privately and said it. I wish he would have said it so loud that the entire room heard, because then maybe other people would have been like, "We got to figure out how to be as awesome as those people."
Right.
Yeah.
That reminds me too, and I'm going to try not to get emotional here, but when I did parent-teacher conferences at the beginning of the year, I wasn't able to do it with our oldest because his teacher was having some medical issues. But for our middle child,
Lennox.
Lennox and Kemper,
first of all,
Kemper's teacher said like she's like the sweetest, and she is the sweetest.
She's so full of love. What? And like when we go to the pool and stuff, sorry not to interrupt the train of thought, but when we go to the pool and stuff, she'll like wander off and just hang out with other families. But continue.
One of the things that kind of sticks in my mind was that her teacher said that there are a couple kids that are a little bit shy and don't know how to really make friends and stuff, and she's the one that always goes to them.
She's friends with everybody.
Do you want to play? So that makes me feel really good that like she doesn't leave anybody out. Like she's just beautiful heart. And Lennox, as soon as I walked in his teacher's class, she was just like, "Thank you." And I was like, "Thank you for what?" And she's like, "He's just like such an amazing kid." And she said, "You didn't really even have to come here," but she had like nothing but nice things to say, amazing things to say. And I was just like, even if they get failing grades in school, even if they're just like average students, did you hear my belly growl?
Yeah.
The fact their character and hearing compliments about their character means way more than anything else in this world to me. And also it kind of like reassured me that like, oh, we aren't doing so bad. We have our moments where I have no confidence in myself when it comes to parenting. And so to hear that, it just makes me feel very proud and blessed to be their mom. But yeah, just going back quickly to the chores and routines. I think routines are important, especially bedtime. Sleep, even as adults, is one of the most important things. You need to get on a good sleep schedule. I let them be a little bit more relaxed on the weekends, but they have a set time to at least settle down and get ready for bed, and they can watch a little bit of TV. But I set a timer on the TV and set a limit of what they are allowed to watch at night, because I think that's very important. And I can see when their sleep routine is turned off.
That wind's going. Sorry, there's a window right beside us, and we can see our outdoor curtains just blowing. It is nuts. Sorry, go ahead.
So they get extra emotional when they don't have good sleep.
Oh yeah.
So
it was way worse before. Before we had them on a schedule. Oh my word, it was terrible.
And one other thing I wanted to mention too, when it comes to screen time and stuff, something I just saw recently is saying let your kids be bored. You have to let your kids be bored so they can figure out, be creative. And I see that when I tell them like, no, you're not getting on your iPads right away when they get home from school. And Lennox will go upstairs and just start doing Legos for like hours. And so it's like we didn't have iPads and phones and stuff, and we figured out, we used our imaginations and figured out how to not be bored. So like let your kids be bored, then that's how they develop the creativity and problem solving skills and are able to be comfortable in being alone and being bored, not so stimulated.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go back on something you touched on a little bit ago, though, on how we're kind of hard on ourselves as parents. Because I also am hard on myself as a parent because it's hard because there's no real rule written on how to parent. But I also think that we over exaggerate the difficulty of parenting.
Oh, yeah. You wanted to
I wanted to mention that because I think that people just, I mean, you look at nowadays with the generations coming up who don't even want to have kids because they just like, oh, I don't want to raise them in this world, or like the people who just act like it's the most difficult thing to do. Love, nourishment, and spend some time with them and pay attention to them. So like, while it's a shock that we get these compliments, like it's nice to hear because while we're humble, it's also like we can share a little bit with other people on like the things we've learned. Like a comedian said, Chad Daniels, he has a joke on this because like he thinks similar to us. Like parenting really isn't as difficult as we make it. And he has this joke about like a woman going, "Oh, I could never raise a kid. I can't even keep a plant alive." And he's like, "Yeah, well, that's because you're not a fucking plant. Like you chop up a steak and you put it in a plant, you got a dead plant." Which is a good joke. He's like, "But if you chop it up real good and you feed it to a child, like that child's gonna live and thrive and grow." So like sometimes it just like we make things more difficult than they really need to be. But also we just need to be thankful and recognize when other people see in our children the way we're helping them to grow and the types of people we're helping them to become. Because like she said, we are definitely humble. Like we don't think we're the greatest parents in the world, but we're just sharing our advice and the things that work for us. And those are the things that have worked for us, is that just that we're really open, even not only with each other, but also with our kids, and really helping them to grow, to become good people. I think one thing that she says that really helped me, that I really took on as a guide for parenting, is getting that positive voice in them. She's really big on that because I grew up with a negative voice. I was always beating myself up. I hated me. And even now, there's moments that I spend where I hate me, but she always is very big on that. Like, I think that's one of the most important things you can do for a child, is to raise them with grit and confidence, is to make sure that you get that voice inside their head in an optimistic cycle, an optimistic wheel, a turning of just like, I'm good, I'm the best, I do great, I can do this. Because once that negative wheel starts again, and it's a cycle, like it will continue. Like my negative, nobody ever helped me get out of my negative cycle that my brain was stuck on loop, on repeat. Other than Jordan Peterson, I read his book and it really did. And it's funny. It's funny because of the fact that like it's so easy and so simple to just be like, just don't be negative. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like stupid. I feel stupid because like I read it and I'm like, oh man, that is true. Like you can just not say these mean things to yourself. You can just not say mean things to yourself, and you're bringing like, oh, I never even thought of that. I never even thought like I don't have to say that I suck and that I hate myself. Like I don't have to.
I am in control of my brain.
Yeah, when something goes wrong, I don't have to be like, oh, this sucks. It's because you suck. You're the worst. You're the worst. You're the worst person that ever lived. Like, I realized, like, oh, I can actually just be like, that's okay. Yeah, you made a mistake and you move on and you learn from it and you're going to actually grow because of this mistake. So.
Yeah, I've seen, working with people in the criminal justice system, I've seen how their internal, we would call them tapes, their tapes that would go over and over again in their head were very negative, and it's a lot harder to create a new habit when you're an adult than to teach it and have it be like a normal thing as a child. And I also didn't have that positive tape in my head, and it's because I didn't really have a lot of anybody talking to me at all, so I had to like figure it out on my own.
And mine was the opposite, where mine was my dad calling me an FAGGOT,
yeah,
or constantly. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your story either, but so that's why mine was constantly negative, which I'm not. I'm married to a woman, in case anybody's wondering. So thanks, Dad. Dad. I didn't end up like that, even though you thought that I would. But I think part of that's also because I'm attractive. Because a lot of homosexual men are attractive. I mean, Matt Bomer.
Yeah.
The dude from Prison Break.
Zachary Quinto. Shout out to all those men who.
The dude from Prison Break. Yeah, there was one we just found out recently too that I was like, he's a homosexual.
Shoot.
And you were like, man, that's such a bummer.
And he's like manly.
It'll come. It'll come to us, but we're not gonna sit here and try to think about it.
Yeah, it was something that we recently.
So maybe that's why my dad thought that I was like that, because he's like, oh, this kid, he's way too good looking.
Maybe he had to knock you down a notch or a peg or two. Maybe.
Yeah, the dude off of Knock at the Cabin too. I think he's attractive.
Which one?
Knock at the Cabin.
I know which dude.
The dude tied up to the chair and stuff. The one that you like from Glee. Yeah. She likes him from Jonathan. Glee. He was on The Matrix.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's another one. But anyways, that's probably why my dad thought I was going to be like that, because he was like, yo, this good-looking dude, he going to end up smoking poles. He's got to. But I didn't.
But yeah, I agree.
Not saying there's anything against. I mean, if you do you, boo boo.
We love
you. Do you, boo boo. We still love you. It is a sin though.
And also, I still get a little bit disappointed that.
She gets disappointed because she's like, what a waste.
I'm like,
she's always like, what a waste.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine if it was Chris Hemsworth? I'd be disappointed in that. Actually, I'd be disappointed, but then also interested a little bit. I might be like, I might have to give him, I might have to send him I might have to jump in those DMs and maybe send him a couple emails. I might have to find out his email.
But yeah, the positive tapes, it's very, very hard to turn the negatives into positives. So practicing positive right off the bat will make it. And also, like, kind of, I want to take the, like I said, and I know I say this a lot, but I want to take the shame out of making mistakes. So even if you were going to be like, oh, what a goofball, you can even be like, what a silly goof.
You're such a silly goose. You're such a silly Nelly.
Yeah, and I think that's also why I was super, super shy and attached to my mom when I was little. Very, very shy. Whereas, I mean, Kiefer's a little bit shy, but the other two are...
I was so attached to my mom too, though, because I used to always put my hand in my mom's back pocket, and I remember, like, I think it was like 5th grade that she was like, "You're getting too old. You can't do that anymore." I used to hold on to her back pocket.
Yeah, I just wanted my mom to carry me all the time, and then she blames me for her arthritis.
I just wanted my mom to love me.
Yeah, me too.
You never loved me, Mom.
But Lennox and Kemper are like super outgoing, and I think that helps. Like, we're kind of building that confidence with the positive self-talk. So in turn, they're not afraid to like go and just like make friends because they have that positive self-image already.
And they build it up in each other too.
Yeah.
Like, they're very good on in other people. Like, it's another wonderful thing, is like, we're giving them that positive voice that they're trying to put on other people too. Like, they're very encouraging and very like, no, you can do it. Don't give up. I mean, I think part of that also comes into coaching, in that, like, the encouragement and the motivation side of it. Like, excuse me, you have to, sorry. The encouragement and the motivation side of it goes into coaching a lot, because that also, excuse me, it might be from the creatine, like at the hiccups or burps or whatever it is, but because they're not going to get confidence or grit or determination without you encouraging and motivating them, like, not to give up, not to quit. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I genuinely feel the more things you put them in, the better and more confident they're going to be, because they're going to learn a lot of life skills. And once that cycle of accomplishment starts, It's very easy because I've done this in my own life. It's very easy to build it on anything else that you put your time into. It's very simple. It makes it easier. Like, oh, I've done this. I was afraid going into it. Mm-hmm. I overcame that fear. I accomplished my goal. So since I did that, I might be able to do it with this, and I might be able to do it with this. I might be able to do it with this. Because like the worst thing you could do is shelter him. Like I remember when Kiefer was the first to start swimming, and I remember when he just wanted to try going down the slide into the deep end on his own. And I was like, buddy, if you without floaties, I was like, if you feel confident enough, you do it. Like you can do it. And it's so terrifying as a parent because you're just like, you're watching them and you're like, oh man, please don't drown. But like, oh man, it's the greatest feeling in the world though. Sorry. Sorry. It's just, oh man. It is literally the greatest feeling in the world when you see your child, when you see your child put themselves out there like that and like try to do something and succeed. It is the greatest feeling in the world. Like you're just like look at this.
Yeah, I'm glad that
happy tears because like when I saw him come up out of the water and he comes over to the edge and he jumps up out of the water, and first thing he does is he like runs up to me and he's like, did you see me? And I'm like, yeah, of course, it was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And we're starting a cycle where there will be many great things we've ever seen in our lives for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm glad you brought that up though too, because I feel like and I don't know if your parents were like this too, but I feel like at least my mom, she had anxiety and worry as a mom. So her fear kind of.
Oh, we do too. When we sent him to camp.
I know, but her fear kind of rubbed off on me, so I was afraid to do anything.
Because how I told you, like my mom was like afraid of all strangers. Nobody will help you. Everybody's out to get you. Yeah. So it kind of formed in me this like very untrusting.
People bad.
Yeah, people bad. Everyone bad. Everyone hurt you. Everyone bad. But continue. Sorry.
But so like, and no offense to my mom, like she loved us.
She's such a great woman.
But I feel like that kind of like made me afraid of everything. So even though we are so afraid for our kids, I think their confidence is better than what my confidence was, because through my fear, I encourage them, like, do it. You can do that. You got this. And they do it. And going back to, I'm trying to make this real quick because I know we went over a little bit.
That's okay.
You saying that, like, oh, once you get through, like, the hard, scary thing, then it's going to transfer into these other new things that you're going to try, and you're going to have more confidence and things like that. It reminds me of, like I said before, I was super shy even into adulthood. But my job where I had to facilitate groups, I was so freaking nervous because I got out of public speaking in college because I did not want to talk in front of everybody. And I would be terrible when it came to speeches in high school. So like now my job's like, oh yeah, you have to get up in front of these people and teach them stuff. But I did it, and it turned out to be my favorite. That was like one of my favorite things about that job.
I was terrible with public speaking.
Yeah, it was just like one of my favorite things, and so I'm like, how cool is that like I did that? And so yeah, I'm still scared a little bit because I'm naturally more introverted, but I do have more confidence in being confident even if I'm winging something. Basically.
Yeah, and also like the kids have helped give us grit and confidence.
Yeah.
Because like, especially for me, like I see it as they can't see me in a moment of fear or being afraid. Now it's perfectly normal and natural to be afraid, but they need to see me overcome it, because that's super important, because then they will also learn from that. Like they'll be like, man, look at my dad. My dad overcomes things too.
Social modeling.
Yeah, like because I was really bad at like social speaking and stuff. Even though, as you can see, I'm a pretty social person. Like my conversations anywhere I go, she's always shocked by that, because anywhere I go, I can carry on conversations.
I don't like going.
Like I'll meet a person and we'll hit it off, because just generally I'm pretty good at communicating with people.
And then I can just stand there and listen.
And she just stands there and listens. And then afterwards she's like, how do you do that? Like you're always just so good at just like striking conversations up with people. And I think part of it is because like I really like to get to know people. I really like to, and that's why I encourage you guys to jump into the discussion, because I want to get to know everybody who watches and listens better. But going back to my original thought, like I used to be afraid of public speaking, so I can carry on a conversation with people, but I'm really tough with being up in front of people and then a bunch of people in front of me. But I forced myself to do that and actually got better with it, because like Jordan Peterson, for instance, don't do the whole like you see everybody naked, blah, blah. This is the number one thing that works for public speaking. Dead serious. This, if you are afraid of public speaking, I know I'm going off on a tirade now.
Fine,
Jordan Peterson fixes it. Talk to each individual person. I'm dead serious. Like as you're up there and you're speaking, even if you're looking at notes and you come back up, look at your notes, start talking to one individual person and make sure you have eye contact with them. So because you're both now involved in the conversation and it takes your mind off everybody else that's in that room. And then your next note, look at the next person and start having a conversation with them. Because you'll also notice like their body language and stuff, like they'll start to nod. Yeah, they're understanding what you're saying. Or if they're like kind of like confused, then you can now like, all right, I might have to go into a little detail on that because they're not really understanding this. Yeah. So you can kind of keep the audience gauged to where you're at. Sorry, I know I went off on a tirade on that, but that helped me, but it also helps the kids because of the fact that then my confidence, they can see and they can be like, my dad can do anything. I can now do anything as well. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, when I got emotional, it's the most amazing thing. It really is.
I don't know
it
how
just
we
was
got
so
lucky with
it was
awesome
just beautiful. Kids. And also they help encourage each other and help each other grow in confidence and grit and determination, because
they like cheer each other on. It's cool.
Yes, and once Kiefer learned how to swim, it was like this with Lennox and Kemper. It was boom, boom. Because they see that other kid swimming and they're like, well, I want to do that too. I don't want to be the kid that's left alone in the kiddie pool.
It was Kemper who actually did it.
Kemper was second,
down,
and
slide second, and then
Lennox was like,
I can't have my
little sister out swimming me.
I think he
still doesn't really swim with his head above the water though. Like he likes to swim like on top of the water, head in the water, like. So, and he's good at it, but he's got his own little way of swimming.
I'm just excited for summer. Sorry,
we're always excited for summer.
As 0 right now.
But yeah. But thank you guys again for joining. We'll go over what we're going to. We'll talk about what we're going to go over in the next episode, and raising kids with strong values in a wild culture, because this is a wild culture with the flags and the mutilation and the swipping and swapping and flipping and flopping and all kinds of weird stuff. But we're going to go into that in the next episode.
I'm writing this down because it reminds me of.
She's writing a note down. Sorry, about what?
About how Corvid, about Kova. I can say COVID now, right? It's not.
No, you can't. You still can't.
Kova. That's so stupid. Okay.
C to the Izzo, V to the Izzy, shizzle, manizzle is a drizzle and a bizzle.
At the time that the virus first happened.
Kova. You can call it Kova.
Kova. That's what my stepdad calls it. At the time that started, kids had to go online for school, and they were like got online for socialization, everything else more so. And I feel like that kind of triggered a lot of this trends and stuff, because kids were trying to find a place to belong.
So. Well, and it's coming out now in the Epstein files, because I don't even know if I can say that. Yeah. Nobody knows anything you can say. Anyways,
it's not on TikTok.
But it's coming out now in Mr. Jeffries' files that he had a lot to do with all of the butchering and mutilation and all LGBTQ plus IAA, blah, 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 blah. Not looking good. Not looking good. But looking like it might be propaganda. Mm-hmm. But maybe you want to touch on that a little bit in the next episode?
Yeah, I want to touch on that a little bit because of
and also I'm happy that you wrote down the isolation, because I also think that is what there was a weird culture shock during that time because of people having like to be isolated.
Yeah.
We'll go over that. We'll go over that. It'll be a great conversation. We hope that you guys join us in that conversation. It'll be an excellent one.
Going through teaching responsibility, self-control, and respect, which we kind of went through over today.
And like she said, she's really big on respect.
Yeah. Helping kids think independently. We touched on that a little bit today with them figuring out.
And actually, in the last episode, we touched on that where we were saying like we kind of leave them alone a little bit so that they can kind of build society on their own. And
faith, morals, and everyday character building.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys tune in next Saturday, which will be probably same time, going live 12:05.
Next Saturday is Valentine's Day.
And it's Valentine's Day, so join us on Valentine's Day for a special love episode. With love and faith and morals and everyday character building and love. And love. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the discussion. We love you guys and we pray for you all. And we hope that you all have a blessed and wonderful day.
Happy Saturday.
And
root for the Seahawks tomorrow.
I didn't say that. My brother's a Pats fan, so
yeah, and I've never been a Pats fan.
But I'm still
Seahawks. Peace.